What is up, my friends and fellow BusyBees? Now, whether you are doing furniture refinishing as just a hobby or a side hustle, or whether you do it full time, I'm sure you've come to realize that this is a very solo endeavor when you're doing furniture refinishing. Unless you have a partner that you do this work with, chances are you're alone in the workshop day in and day out working on your furniture pieces and transforming these beautiful pieces and giving them new life. And that can definitely be a good thing. A lot of people use this time in the workshop as kind of like a way to meditate and to turn off their brain and get some time away from the regular hustle and bustle and go, go, go nature of our day-to-day lives. I know for me, when I first started, it was just before the pandemic had hit and life was busy, and so going out into the garage and working on this stuff was a really nice way for me to retreat from the world and to get some quiet alone time. And then once COVID hit, it was definitely like a coping mechanism because I didn't want to be on my phone and seeing all of the news and everything that was going on and going on social media and seeing people sharing articles or sharing all this bad news. And it was just not like a positive, good time. So I spent a lot of time in the garage and out in the driveway working on these things, listening to podcasts, listening to music, listening to audiobooks, and really being meticulous and intentional with what I was consuming and what I was doing and how that would have an effect on my mental health. And for that reason, it can be really great. But also, it can get kind of lonely, and it can also be frustrating at times and really disheartening when you are in the middle of what you think is going to be a really easy makeover, and then you maybe come across a barrier or some sort of roadblock or something that discourages you from continuing on the project or from being able to do the next step. Maybe you think it's something that's outside of your capabilities, or you encounter something that you hadn't expected. And then you get kind of down on yourself and you're like, ugh, what am I going to do? And this is just one of the reasons why doing this work by yourself can not be a negative, but can be a bit of a bummer at times. Because if you don't have somebody that you can kind of bounce ideas off of and talk through the situation that you're encountering, you can tend to build these things up in your head, and it can seem like a really big deal or a really big hurdle that you're going to have to surmount, when really it might just be a matter of a quick fix and being able to continue on your way. But if you're by yourself and you're sitting there and you're staring at it and you're festering in it and you don't really think of a solution off the top of your head, and then you just start to spiral and think that it's going to be such a big deal, those are the times when having somebody there to support, to motivate, to encourage you, to brainstorm with you would be really helpful. And this support can come in many ways, and it can have many different uses, and I wanted to take some time today to talk about it because I don't really hear anybody in this space talking about this, and just how kind of really important and valuable it is to have. So let's talk about the different types of support. So the first and maybe most obvious one, I don't know, for me it's the one that I get the most benefit from, I would say, is the support of a partner. Truly, if my husband wasn't supportive of this work that I do and didn't encourage me and believe in me and, believe in the work that's being done, I probably wouldn't be doing this full time today, because me leaving my government job and completely doing a 180 on my career trajectory and taking this really big step, which was a big risk to take, that probably wouldn't have happened if he wasn't fully on board with it, because it's a big impact to us in our household, right? And more than that, it would make what I do really hard day to day, because the reality is I can do as much as I can on my own, but there are times that I need his help. Previously, when I was nervous to do power tools or to work with my power tools, I would get him to do the cuts on the saws and those kinds of tools. I do that now, but a couple years ago, I would ask for his help to do it. And as much as I don't like to admit it, I can't carry everything on my own. So I do require his help often to bring pieces into the house if I'm going to be finishing them up inside or putting them on my staging wall, or just trying to get them out of the workshop so that I have some space to work on a piece while that one is sitting and waiting to be sold. And there's also times when I need his help to load a piece into the car, or out of the car, but it's a little easier to slide it out most of the time. There's been times when I've had to have him come and go somewhere to pick up a piece of inventory or a piece that I'm going to be working on for a client because I need a second set of hands to get it loaded if the client isn't able to help me to do so. So there's a decent amount of not only time, but physical effort and just availability that I require, unfortunately, as someone trying to do all of this on my own. And if you're someone that has a partner in business, this isn't something that's going to be as big of a deal for you because you and your partner can do probably 99% of the things that need done. But since I work from home and since my husband and my dog are the only other two here, unfortunately those duties do fall onto him from time to time. And so tangibly with work, that's something that I ask of him and is required of him. And to be completely honest, not every time he's super jazzed to have to stop what he's doing if he's in the middle of, I don't know, playing some video game or something and come upstairs to help me move something or carry some heavy piece down the stairs where we have it over our heads to try and not hit anything. It's not always a great time, but we always get it done, and for the most part he doesn't complain too much, which I'm grateful for. But there is other uses and other reasons that I really do need his support and really thrive from having it. Things like motivating me and keeping me motivated and encouraged on the days when I'm just feeling kind of blah or I'm kind of second guessing myself in everything that I'm doing and not feeling motivated to get up and do the work that I know needs to get done. Having somebody who supports me, who can be there and be my cheerleader and remind me to get my butt off the couch if I need it. Those kinds of things are so important and so appreciated on my end. You know, he's my biggest supporter. He'll come home sometimes after a night out at the bar or something and be like, oh, my Uber driver is going to follow you on Instagram. He's constantly plugging me and my business, and I so appreciate that support. And it goes a really long way just to know that he's backing me in everything that I'm doing and everything that I'm trying to achieve with me and my small business. And I know that not everybody has that. I know that there are people whose partners either don't see the value in the work that they're doing, they don't really appreciate it for the full magnitude that it is if you are really trying to treat it as a side hustle or trying to go full-time, or maybe are going full-time, but they don't really see it as such a big deal, or I don't know. There could be so many different things happening and so many different dynamics, because the reality is some people, and I won't say men specifically because you may be a man listening who has a female partner, you may be a female who has a female partner, I don't know what your situation is, but the reality with humans is sometimes, especially when it comes to money and people pursuing their dreams and doing things that make them happy, unfortunately, that doesn't go over really great with everybody. Some people can get a little bit snarky, a little bit vindictive, or a little down on themselves and take that out on other people when they see people doing things that they kind of wish that they would be able to do for themselves to pursue their own goals or push themselves past their comfort zones. And people don't always know what to do with those kinds of emotions and those feelings, and sometimes they take them out in negative ways on people. And I've talked to people who've sent me DMs and emails over the years who've said, I do this and I love this and I would love to grow this, but my husband, my partner, isn't really supportive of it and it makes it really difficult. If I have any pieces sitting, then they start saying that it's not going to sell and start putting doubt into my head and say that it's using up all the space in the house and stuff like that. And that would be a bit of a bummer, I'm not going to lie. Because when you're just trying to push so hard and do everything, and even if things aren't working out the way that you want them to, you know that you're putting your all into it and doing all of the right things. What you need in that time is somebody to put air under your wings to help you soar. You don't need somebody to try and kick you out of the air and stomp on you and make you feel crappy about the thing that you're trying to do maybe not working out in the way you thought it would, or hasn't worked out yet in the way that it will fully flourish. So if that is your situation and you find yourself nodding along or feeling seen by this, number one, just know that you're not alone. I've heard it from multiple people that this is the case. I'm sorry that that is the case, but just know that that support and that accountability and that encouragement and that motivation doesn't necessarily have to come from your partner. And I mean, I'm not going to try and do any relationship counseling on here. I am definitely not educated to be doing that. However, all I will say is there are other places that you can be getting that you're looking for from that person if they're not able to be giving it to you. And I would encourage you to have open communication and to talk about how you're feeling or how the way they're talking or what they're saying is making you feel, because I just think in general, like I always say, transparency and honesty is very important, and it kind of makes things go much smoother than they otherwise would be. So if you haven't made that known, sit down and have a talk one day and just discuss it, because maybe they don't know that that's what they're doing or that's how you're taking what they're saying. Maybe they think that it's motivating what they're doing or something like that. But have that conversation, and if they're not willing to be or do or say what you need from them, then there's other places that you can turn to get that. So other ways that you can find support are through friends or family. Again, this kind of encouragement and support is always so appreciated on my end whenever people are supporting my business through following me on social media or leaving a comment or telling a friend about the work that I'm doing, or even just asking about it when I see them and they're just asking how things are going, or reaching out and saying, you know, I saw this furniture on the side of the road, or I'm getting rid of this piece, would you like it? Like things like that just show me that they want to help, that they appreciate what I'm doing, and they're trying to do what they can to support me. Like that is so appreciated, and it goes a long way, because like I say, you can often feel like very isolated and kind of lonely doing this work, and it won't necessarily feel like you have a big team of people around you in the way that it might if you're working in an office with a big team. But when you get those little insights or those little snippets from your friends, your family, your partner, those things that will keep you going and keep you motivated and have them rah-rahing around you, that's going to help you to stay motivated and encouraged to move towards success. So it's just important to find your people, and that doesn't have to be people who currently exist in your life. You know, look around you. Where are people who have these similar interests as you? Can you make some new friends? Find a new support system. You know, on Instagram, I've met so many great people over the years who do this work, who are interested in it, who I vibe well with, who I've followed for years. And they're people that I'll turn to if I have a question or if I want to run something by someone. And I am so happy to be that person. If you don't currently have it and you have a question or you just need to rant or vent, send me a DM. It's me in there. I'm always the one replying. I'm a big fan of voice notes just because it's much quicker than me trying to type things out. So we can have essentially a call. And I'm happy to be the person to listen, to validate, to encourage and motivate whatever you need in that moment. Just find somebody or some people who can be your person that you can turn to when you need that, if you can't find that in the people who are surrounding you in your quote-unquote real life. And as adults, it can be difficult to meet new friends and people who are interested in similar things as you, but you can also treat this a little bit like you would treat a marketing strategy. Like, think of the types of people, the characteristics of the types of people who would be interested in the same things as you. So people who like furniture upcycling may also be interested in other sustainable practices. So maybe thrifting, maybe other types of upcycled home decor and art, or other artistic things, or other eco-friendly things. Are there different eco markets in your area that you can go to, or different creative hubs of upcyclers? Seek out different opportunities and events and networking opportunities or social nights that you can get involved in that will get you closer to these kinds of people. And then just be willing and push yourself out of your comfort zone to put yourself out there and introduce yourself to people and get to know people and, you know, grab their Instagram or their email or something and stay in touch. The unfortunate reality is you're going to have to put a little bit of effort in order to make these things happen. But once they're there and they're moving smoothly, then you'll really have that support and that partner and that accountability accountability buddy that you're looking for. And especially if you're looking for support in the business realm and how to tackle different situations with clients or start your business or run your business. Again, turn to these different places where you can find people who are interested and are doing similar things as you, fellow small business owners and entrepreneurs online. Other furniture refinishing business owners are great, but a lot of this stuff is transferable too. So if you come across someone who makes their own clay earrings or pottery and you get along great with them and you've been commenting on things back and forth with them and chatting in the DMs a bit, like they are probably dealing with a lot of the same stuff as you as a small business owner, regardless of the product that is being sold. So get to know them better or lean on them for support too. Create your circle around you, and then you'll have multiple places to turn to. You'll figure out who's really good at what stuff, who your real people are, and then you will find the support that you are looking for. Another unrelated but closely linked thing to this, in terms of looking for support and positive encouragement for you to succeed in this work, is that I really want to encourage you to be really critical of the feeds that you are curating and that you are turning to and scrolling through day to day. And pay attention to the way that you feel when you are doing that scrolling. Pay attention to your reactions, positive or negative, and really lean into the positive ones and take note of and be really critical of the negative ones. Because whether it has to do with what people are saying or posting or how they're saying it, or maybe nothing to do with what they're actually doing and saying, but your reaction to it. Maybe somebody reminds you of somebody that you don't like or whatever it may be. Pay attention to the negative feelings and interactions you have and maybe do a little bit of purging from who you're following. Every now and then, not as often as I probably should, but once a year or so, I go through and I take a really hard look at who I'm following and who I'm consuming the content of, because often over time, either they or I evolve in a way that means that maybe their content isn't for me anymore. And I'm very much about keeping things positive and light. I don't follow a lot of people who are shitting on themselves or shitting on other people or trying to cause drama or focusing on the negative. I've done it before in the past too, but people I've noticed a lot lately are like making funny and lighthearted reels and stuff, but highlighting the negative comments that they get on their content all the time. And while yes, it can be funny and cute and like, they're not hurting me, if you're doing that often, I'm going to read through that as it really is hurting you and that you're just taking too much time out of your day to focus on the negative interactions that you're having online and with your following. And I just don't think that's like a positive way to move about your life. So those people aren't for me is what I read that as. So those are the kinds of people that I'm like, you know what? There's plenty of people online that I can be following who are sharing positive things and are trying to teach and motivate and encourage rather than shining a light on negativity. And that's just me trying to improve my own life. And that's one way that I find has made a tangible difference over the years. And maybe that's not necessarily the case for you, but just something that I wanted to mention and is maybe worth taking a look at if you are finding yourself feeling very kind of destroyed and exhausted when you leave social media anytime you go on. Because the reality is you're probably on there regardless, whether it's for personal use, whether it's for your business use. And even if you don't like it, you're probably doing it for your business. So if you're going to have to be there, you might as well make it as enjoyable of an experience as you can, given the parameters that you're provided. And another thing that I would highly encourage you to avoid while you're on the social media or whatever type of content that you're consuming is to avoid comparing yourself to them. It's so easy to do. I know we all catch ourselves doing it, but that is another way that you're not going to help to encourage and support yourself towards that success by comparing yourself to people who you truly know nothing about. People who could be decades into doing the work that they're doing, and you started this last week and you're comparing your final product to their final product when it's apples and oranges. So it's really not helping anyone by doing that. Even if you happen to know that you've both been doing it for the same amount of time or something that puts you in theory on par with that person, you don't know anything about their life. And even if every single thing were the same, there is so much furniture out there in the world that's looking for some love and to be redesigned, and there are so many homes in the world to house it. So just avoid wasting your time doing that comparison and just focus on the thing that you got into this for, the thing that you love, the thing that brings you joy, which is upcycling and painting and refinishing these furniture pieces. And try and keep your ego at bay and focus on the good things. Find the people who are going to help keep you focused on those things. Curate that circle of support and accountability around you, and feel free to make amendments as you go as needed, because some people may serve you right now, but they may not serve you a few years from now. Or if you start to really pop off in your business and you find that some people aren't really being as encouraging and motivating as they used to be and are starting to be a little bit salty about it, feel free to make those amendments and keep the people around you who are serving you, who are building you up, who are your biggest fans, and who want the best for you ultimately. And something you may not know about me, I love little motivational messages. They always keep me fired up, and I keep a running list of ones that are especially catchy or speak to me in the Notes app on my phone. So I end every podcast episode with one that I've noted down over the years in hopes that you leave our time here each week feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to take on whatever comes your way this week. So this week's Mel's motivational message is: self-care is choosing not to argue with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. So this kind of ties back to what I was saying about people posting about the negative comments that they're getting and like shining a light to that and just engaging in the negative comments on your content in general. But self-care is choosing not to argue with the people who are committed to misunderstanding you. It is a waste of your time, it is a waste of your energy, it is a waste of your brain power, and ultimately it's going to make you remember those negative comments more the longer that you spend time on them and engage with them. And when it comes to people around you who you're looking to turn to for support, if they don't understand what you're doing, if they don't appreciate what you're doing, they don't try and help you with what you're doing and just be a positive influence and light in this endeavor that you've taken on, don't even bother wasting your time trying to convince them or trying to prove anything to them, because again, this is ultimately about you and your goals and your peace and the furniture pieces that you are working on, which are the main reason that you're here and doing what you are doing. Save your time, save your breath, save your energy, and just focus on the things that matter, and don't try and convince or argue or outwit or outplay the people who are being naysayers, and simply sit back and put your nose to the ground and keep plugging away and doing what you do and growing. And eventually they will be forced to have to realize that what you're doing is making an impact, is achieving success, was the right thing to do, that you should have never listened to them in the first place, and thank God you didn't, because once they see those results, it will be a hard thing to ignore. All right, that's it for now. I appreciate your time, and I will catch you guys next